So I've got with me today Jumoke Osheo. Am I pronouncing your second name correctly?
You are. You
Okay,
are.
fantastic. And Jumoke, thank you so much for letting me do a short, brief interview with you. And I would just love to kind of take people who are watching this back to the end of 2019 and describe describe to those that are watching, kind of where were you at in life in 2019 before you reached out and we had our initial conversation?
Yeah. Oh, thanks for having me on. I was lost, completely lost. I had just resigned from a senior position within the NHS, and because I wasn't passionate about the job anymore, and I felt like I had no identity. I had misplaced priorities. I was borderline depressed thinking about it now. But obviously, as Christians, we're told never to use terminologies like that. But I knew deep down I was so unhappy. And I just got fed up of just coasting along when I just believed there was more to life than what I was currently experiencing. So I decided enough was enough. I walked away from the job with nothing to walk into, and I was ready to see where the journey was going to start. So yeah, that was where I was 2019.
Wow. So, and I think that's a really honest and interesting point because,
Mm.
I coach both people who have faith and don't have a faith.
Yeah.
And sometimes when we're Christians, I guess we're kind of expected or we feel like we should like know
Hmm.
where we're going and kind of be the shining light of everything's okay, and almost
Hmm.
don't feel like we have the permission to kind of say, well, no, it's not, and enough is enough. So
Yeah.
again, that's a really interesting point that you got to, and that must have
Mm.
been a bit of an internal tussle because of that.
Extremely. It really was. I just felt I was praying, but I wasn't seeing the result of what I was praying about. But then I also recognized that you pray, but then you have to action your prayer. You have to take that leap of faith and just do the things you wanted to do. And for me, I was at that point, I was at the breaking point of either do this now or never do it. And I just, yeah, so I'm glad.
Wow. And so how did you hear about me? Because we've never met before then. So like how
No,
did that
at
happen?
all. So I had gone to visit my very good friends, Gazi and Mantala, the Okogas, and we were talking about me walking away from work, and Goziem was going, Goziem said, "Wow, congratulations." And I couldn't understand why he was celebrating that. It was like, well, Jumoke, it's a good start. It's a good place to be. Now you can start the discovery of becoming who you are, for I walked away from the conversation and I thought, "Oh, that's really odd," but I couldn't see the connection. And then he talked about that was the point he started talking about. Oh, Gareth, I've been working with Gareth, I saw the difference. I saw the growth in Gauzium. I saw the conversations we were having. I mean, he's a very intelligent guy, definitely. But then there was a maturity that came with it and the self-assurance. And because we're quite similar in personalities as well, I thought, oh, I wanted some of what he was getting. I wanted it as well. So he introduced me to the famous Gareth. And I was quite apprehensive at first because I thought, okay, am I going to see a shrink? But no, he was very clear. Jumoke, he's a life coach. He doesn't do the talking. It's the way he questions you, and the way you will come up with the responses. That's what you need. You need someone that can listen to what is going on inside of you and help you find words to express it. And yes, that's how I met Gareth.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So when we started the journey, what were your thoughts? What were you kind of going away, especially from the first one or two sessions that we had? what did you go away thinking and feeling and processing? Just let us in a little bit on what was going on.
Sure. So my first meeting with you, I was a bit apprehensive, but I think I was fed up, so I didn't care anymore. I was open. I was very open. I can't remember the exact question. There was a particular question you asked, and I think I must have broken now because I just thought, wow, no one's ever asked me that question. And I've been waiting all my life for someone to ask me so I could express the way I was feeling about it. And, I walked away from the conversation with hope that, I don't know where this is going to go, but I am excited about this journey. It's different, it's new, it's refreshing. And for once, someone is listening and I'm doing all the talking and not just listening because they want to empathize with me. They're listening to get the right information to help me. So, yeah, I was really excited about the first meeting and walking away from it. I was like, okay, I think I would like this. I'm ready for this new adventure. And it's been
Amazing.
so worth it. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. And so again, really interesting that, you almost had to get to that point of enough is enough. I'm more bothered about reaching out for the future that I believe I've got in me than kind of allowing any fear to stop me pressing forward. You had to get to that point almost of desperation in a sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
It really was. Yeah.
So just for context for anybody watching, kind of what kind of job did you walk away from? What kind of field or industry are you in?
So I qualified as a biomedical scientist many years ago now, it seems. And I stumbled upon it because initially I went in for a biology degree, but then I fell pregnant and I thought, okay, I need to get myself together and have a job to walk into when I finish uni. And I came across biomedical science because we had similar modules. So I trained, did my 1 year training, qualified, and I was enjoying the job, but it wasn't rewarding. Financially, it was okay. But then I wasn't getting the satisfaction that I wanted from it. And the particular job I walked away from was an opportunity that I had been waiting for. It was a senior position within a research department that I was really interested in. I'd waited years to get into it, and finally I got it. The salary was fantastic for NHS, the flexibility and the type of job. But then I still wasn't getting what I wanted out of it. I wasn't getting the job satisfaction. So I decided that, okay, I had always talked about working within clinical research, within the pharmaceutical industry, working on clinical trials, engaging the Black community, ethnic minorities in clinical trials, and bringing it to the forefront. And I didn't know how I was going to get into it, but I just knew that this was the area that I wanted to specialize in. So now I work within that space. I work for a clinical research organization based out in Africa, but with offices all over the world, really, working on clinical trials that just, my main interest, which is women of color, and just bringing more awareness and influencing the policies to help these people and make clinical trials more aware, making people more aware of clinical trials. And yeah,
And
I'm loving it.
so that journey
Yeah,
between walking out of that job,
yeah,
engaging in coaching and kind of going through this process and then arriving at this opportunity that has opened up to you as a result of going through that process of coaching. Like, what's the time difference between those 2 points of leaving that job and then walking into this new opportunity that's opened up?
I think, is it 2 years? Or
Yeah, I think
just
it would
about,
be.
yeah.
Yeah.
It would be, yeah, 2 years. I think what coaching did was give me the opportunity to think outside of the box. And that's one thing I struggled to. Creativity wasn't my strongest um, strength, but by spending time with you, I was able to, for the first time, think outside of the box and then be able to express what I wanted. So I had all these ideas running through my mind. I thought I knew what I wanted, but one of the exercises you gave me was the I ams, go away and think about your I ams, and also writing down what I wanted in the new job. And I don't think I had ever done that. I mean, we always get all sorts of speakers telling us, write the vision. Even the Bible says they write the vision, make it plain. I think what you did was you helped me to believe it. So it wasn't so much about the writing down. I was beginning to believe what I was writing. I was beginning to see a connection between where I wanted to go
Yeah.
and how to get there. And that was the process. That's what the coaching process helped me to achieve.
Wow. So you have a real desire to make an impact. And I
Yes.
know from our conversation, that throughout that the journey of coaching, that became clear. It was something you already always carried. I didn't say, oh, how about this or how about that? It was just asking the questions and allowing that to surface, that thing that you
Yeah.
were carrying. But like you've just mentioned, like focusing on identity is a massive part of the process, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
So just let those that are watching in a little bit on kind of what was the shift in identity from the Jumoke that walked into the process and the Jumoke that walked out of the process. Like how big a part was identity in all of that?
The biggest part. I didn't realize that every time I stood in front of the mirror pre-coaching, I wasn't looking at myself. I was looking at a figment of what I had created for the world to see.
Wow.
And what coaching did for me was be able to stand in my own nakedness and see myself and confront all the strengths and weaknesses that I had been trying to run away from. And it's as a result of the conversations we were having. So I remember every time we had a conversation, I would just, it was just, like the way the sun is shining on me now. It was a breath of fresh air. It was just nice. It was just rewarding. I, w- I'm speechless. It was a lifesaver. Identity has always been a big issue, and I guess it's a lot for. It's probably something a lot of women go through
Mm.
growing up, especially if you started a family quite young and you've had to step into the responsibilities of looking after other people and not having time for yourself. And it's addressed this whole identity conversations with you addressed a lot of childhood traumas that I never wanted to deal with. It gave me an opportunity to think on how to improve relationships with people, with myself first. And that's the one takeaway from it because, as I said to someone, I might not be the most beautiful person in the room, I might not be the most intelligent person, but I know that I am the most intelligent person. I know that I am the most beautiful person in my own space. And that's
Right.
enough for me. And I didn't have that. I didn't realize how my confidence wasn't there. And I am, I am who I am.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that, I could, even though, we would meet kind of every kind of several weeks and, for
Mm,
that hour and a bit, I could see the levels of confidence as
mm,
one of the outcomes of that identity journey
yeah.
and starting to rise. And that was definitely, as you would reflect back to me each
Mm,
session, you'd give me examples of things that you were doing or confronting or
mhm,
or speaking up or speaking out,
mhm.
that you would have kind of held back from
Yeah.
before. Was confidence kind of one of the things that definitely came to the surface, and did that just come out then in the professional, or did it impact personal life as well?
It's impacted every area of my life. And the conversations I was having with my spouse, with my kids, with my friends, in my career as well. I mean, I have a seat on the table now. I'm having conversations confidently about things that I might not necessarily be aware of, but there isn't the fear of, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. It is, I will learn, but give me the time. I will learn, but this is what I think of what you're saying. So there isn't the fear factor attached to it anymore. There isn't the insecurities that were there before. Now I can have honest conversations
Yeah.
with the people around me and be happy with what I am bringing to the table, regardless of what they think or not. And even my friends have said that I am more assertive
Wow.
in the things that I want now, which is
So
a
what you
big
saw
game
in
changer.
Gauze, people are starting to see in you.
Yes,
Wow.
pretty much,
Wow,
pretty
that's
much that.
amazing. And just as we kind
Yes.
of come into land, Jumoke,
Mm,
one of the sessions I was asking questions, and you've referred to it once or twice, where I really kind of asked questions about you getting a picture of what
mhm,
could you see,
mm,
and again, that was before you actually knew fully what the role would be. It was
mm,
kind of really what are the things that you could see, and the image of the future started to emerge as you got that identity clearer and clearer. And
mm.
one of them was about this table. And just
Yes.
explain a little bit about that, and now how it kind of fits into what you've literally just walked into.
The table. So I think it was probably the second or third session I had with you.
Yeah, I think it
You
was the
asked
third one.
me,
Yeah.
yeah, and we're talking, and I said, "Oh, I would like to see myself. I see myself sat at the table at the head of the table, and I have people reporting to me and me just being at the head of the table, but I just couldn't see the connection from where I was to getting there. And then through the process, I began to see the connection. I began to see the ways, different ways of how to get there. And I suppose that reflected in the type of jobs I was applying for and the interview process as well that I was getting myself into. And gradually I began to see, and then the I ams as well, because it was no longer, oh, Jumoke, the shy one, the Jumoke that isn't sure of herself. It is, I am communication, this is something I can do. I can do this thing. So I started seeing the link between it. So when this job happened and I had my final meeting to confirm my acceptance. I had tears in my eyes because she couldn't understand, the director couldn't understand why I was tearing up, but it was just the fact that for so long I had seen the table, I had seen myself on the table, but I just couldn't see how I could get to that place. And now finally it's like I am at the table. I am sat at the end of the table. And it's amazing because it's now she can't do anything. I mean, it's still early on, but it's like, okay, you have to involve Jumoke
Mm.
in the process. You have to hear Jumoke's opinion about it. And it doesn't get any better than that.
Wow. Do you know what? I wasn't. I'm getting a bit emotional listening to you, because for me, this is what it's about. It's the
Yeah.
fact that I believe that there is more in you than you think, and
Mm,
the pleasure to ask questions with an absolute belief that it's there,
mm,
it's in there,
mm.
and it's far bigger than you
Yeah.
realize. And then to start to see, and let me just say, just the beginnings,
Mm.
just the beginnings, yeah, of what is in you. And of course,
Yeah.
I am cheering you on along the way. And I would just as a final kind of comment, what would you say to anybody right now who is, again, maybe in a similar position? They're feeling a bit stuck, or they're wondering about, is coaching a kind of a conversation that I need to be having? What would you be saying to them right now?
Don't overthink it. Just do it. Sign up. And I'm not saying this because you're there. I
No,
think one
no.
of the things that I did and which Guzzy caught me out on was, Jumoke, don't overthink it because you think of 1,001 things to walk away from it.
Mhm.
Just do it. just go for it. Honestly, it's good.
Wow.
It's a life changer. It's changed, definitely changed my life, and I would recommend it any day, anytime. Just do it. Don't overthink it. And I guess in our community, it's not something that is necessarily encouraged. So if we get more people doing this,
Mm.
and people would have more breakthroughs, people would have more platforms to just be themselves. And for me, I'm never going back. There'll be more times, more coaching
Amazing.
sessions in the future, definitely. But yeah, just
Wow.
do it. Don't
Well,
overthink
Jumoke,
it.
you are at the table. It's no longer just a picture that is coming out as a result of asking questions. You are at it, and it's just the beginning. And thank
Yeah.
you so much for taking the time to unpack a
Thank
little bit
you.
of your journey. It's just another chapter. There's so much more to come, and I can't wait till maybe we
Definitely.
have another update interview and find out what's been happening
Yeah.
as you're making that impact out of who you really are. You
I'm
take
looking
care, and
forward
thank
to
you
it.
so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, Gareth. Take care.